Hello, everyone, and welcome to This Week in Hospitality Marketing, show number 484. I'm your host, Lauren Gray. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to dive right into an interesting topic that has kind of come up in a different way, simply because there's a news article that came out, courtesy of Cody, which is always in the central part of the Metasearch space, that Google is testing desktop Metasearch research user experiences. So it kind of came and mixed into another conversation I've had with clients as to discovering issues that are related to Metasearch that are not getting resolved from an independent hotel perspective. So, our topic today is Metasearch, OTAs, contracts, and you. The idea being that OTAs, online travel agencies, the Expedias, the Hotels.com, the Waygos, the Triptease, not Triptease, excuse me, Travagos, all of these third party entity, TripAdvisor, all have a methodology of taking your inventory and selling it contractually that you've agreed to with them uh, on their own channels, and also regrettably through their affiliate program, which is distorted and twisted and creates a whack-a-mole problem that we have talked about on the show before, where it just they give it or allow it to be used in a ways that they take the price that was negotiated for the lower rates to work with them, and then that's free sold and the affiliate program lower than what we are doing with our own hotel, which creates a confusion from the guest when they're looking at Metasearch results on search engine result pages, that they see lower rates elsewhere. Little do they know that when the person, well, they end up finding out painfully later that when they go through the process of picking up that lower rate, it's not a lower rate, and that all the extra costs associated with it get tacked onto it, and it ends up being most likely higher than the rate had they just gone directly to our channel. Some of the things that Metasearch has done is the ability for us to running a paid account with them, GHA ads and so forth. And I speak mainly of Google, because Google is anywhere from 87 to 95% of the business that you're getting. Bing has made inroads. TripAdvisor makes inroads, but pretty much the 800-pound gorilla in the room is Google when it comes to all of this. The authentication identification official site of the property is great. You can change an icon to it and so forth. But some things begin to creep up into the display of Metasearch that aren't as easily made or changed. Now, there is call to actions that you can do. It's up to Google to decide whether it shows it or doesn't show it. Strike through prices, super taglines and things that it will allow to demonstrate, and things that you want to say about why clicking on our link to the property, it has a better value than the other rates that they show in the Metasearch result for your hotel if it's displayed. But let's break down some of how Metasearch works first, and then we'll get to the problems that we're looking to find corrections, and we'll get to the article that Cody brought up about how Google is changing how they think they're going to be working with Metasearch. At least they're beta testing it. So Metasearch is a channel of opportunity for top line growth revenue. It is a chance for people to discover your hotel through a search query directly related to you by looking for your hotel by name, which is called brand search results. And then you have your hotel showing up in Metasearch related to non-branded search results, such as downtown hotel, nearby X, whatever. Your hotel may show up in relationship to those non-branded terms. Now, Google Hotel Ads is a function within the Google Ads program specific to hotels. For it to function for you, it needs to be connected in the way that it can pull inventory, availability, and rate. In your internet booking engine, okay, your IBE, things like Sabre and so forth, you go in and you toggle on third-party access, specifically Metasearch, and then you assign your pricing that you have available for your inventory to the being available to the third party to pull, so they can pull this inventory from your internet booking engine. So when people look for your hotel in the SERP results and the dates get propagated, it can actually display your hotel because it knows from looking that your hotel does have inventory and what rates are being asked for that inventory. So even with that, you have parity issues when it comes to OTAs, and you have parity issues with it. We'll get to, again, the problems in just a little bit. So in the world of Metasearch, what this allows you to show up for on a search engine result page, a SERP page, so it'll be a little easier for us to talk through, is you have your Google stuff. You have your map, and in the map, it shows your hotel with others. Then you also have on a bar on the right the Metasearch results, which may show your information related to your property. And then everybody that's offering rates to you, the Expedias and Hotels.com, all of these affiliate programs that bleed off prices from other sources and so forth, are in a category of paid and then organic. Under the paid and organic is a more button. More opens up into the Google Travel page, which will show now a larger map and yet more selections. Now, if showing up in paid versus organic is a whole strategy consideration, which we won't necessarily dive into too much today. But in that Metasearch results, you're now being compared to other places that are also selling your hotel. From the user, they're looking at saying, well, the official website, and it says official website, has a rate of $200, but down here, Expedia has a $150 rate. Must be the negotiated a better rate. Let me go for that one. And yet that's not, because what Expedia has done is that they don't show all of the fees that your rate does. Now, why is that the case? Well, recently with the California ruling and so forth of transparency of rates, that you can't hide rates and so forth, and the fact that you can't always designate who's getting the search engine result pages geographically, we follow the rules that says that our rates that we display that gets pulled from our internet booking engine are inclusive of taxes and fees associated with that, whether we have resort fees or whatever. Now, everybody that follows the show regularly knows that I hate resort fees. It's an old antiquated bleed of extra money. It's supposed to circumnavigate bed taxes and cost revenue as being a separate revenue source. But what it does is creates angst and issues with users who are like, this resort fee, well, it's this bottle of water, $40, $50 bottle of water, you got to be kidding. Well, you get to use a fitness center. It's a part of your hotel. Why wouldn't I use the fitness center? There's for anybody that's been in a front desk, you know the issues. Anyways, so our rate will look higher because of now us following the guidelines, because it pulls the information from our platform. We're obligated to show all the fees associated with that rate as well. And it gets pulled into Google. And Google self-admittedly does not police this as to who does it correctly or not. And why I'm getting to this point is that you'll see that Expedia will show a lower rate. Now, you would think they're supposed to follow the same rules. From our research of looking into why we're seeing this differences, we got an interesting answer back from Google as to why that's not their issue, their problem, or in violation of any law associated with them having to represent their fees and costs. Because if you look at us as the example continuing, you go directly to our website and we're doing a $200 rate. It shows that $200 rate is included of the tax and fees, everything together. If you hit the Expedia one, you'll see the number change to a different number, the higher number related similar to us. The rate that they were displaying was their negotiated rate with us that they are able to display because, according to Google, in our contract with the OTA, they can distribute to a different distributor or other distributions whatever rate they want to have, including the one that we negotiated with them, without us having to be in parity with it. It's a loophole that was meant for affiliate. It was actually meant for opaque offerings. When you do packages and so forth, the fact that we negotiate with Expedia a lower rate that we're willing to pay them for inventory that they sell for us, in there they had opaque contract components to it, which says, hey, look, we have packages we put together with rent-a-cars and cruisers or boats or whatever like this. So we put it all together and we don't have the individual prices for hotel rooms versus car rentals because we've negotiated lower rates that we don't want to display, but we're able to manipulate those prices so we can offer a package deal that we can sell to people that has a value to it. Well, they're exploiting that loophole apparently to being able to distribute according to the rate they would like to offer, which is legitimately their rate, without it having to be under the context of parity with us and also inclusive of fees. Because in our contract, we say that you don't have to reflect the costs of things that are related to our fees and our costs and in your information to your opaque selling. So it's part of the contract, which is what we're going to put into what we have in the title of our topic today. So that's one issue there. In the world of Metasearch and its contribution compared to other channels of opportunity, I have to date batted 1,000 in asking any property two questions. One, What is the percentage contribution from Metasearch, that their top line percentage as a channel of contribution? What is their percentage? An even bigger, more important question, which is the one that I've always asked that I've had a batting 1,000 on, is what is your OTA contribution percentage annually? I'll even make it easy and say annually. And no property that I have ever asked that question to at conferences, from the stage downward, anyway, C-level groups, property level discussions, ever accurate, is even close to what they they're quick to think that they are not inflicted with the pain of this symbiotic relationship where they think it's a low percentage. Oh, we're doing 15, 17% of OTA. And I literally show them the numbers for the, because I don't do it without knowing the number. And they're less than half or at half of what they're actually doing in OTAs. They do not see it. And why don't they see it is because they don't see it as a line item budget. It's a commission model. It goes through the travel agency program. It's paid commissions based on production, performances. So there's no budget item that says at this price or at this point, you don't spend any more money on OTAs. There's no line item that has that. Now I have some properties that try to build a convoluted, accurate budget that's not really accurate, where they try to define what they spend in commissions. So they have some number of what it costs to generate the business from the OTA, just as a marker. It's not like they can control it. It's just they're trying to understand what they're spending in that. And even with that information, they don't have an assigned value of the percentage contribution that OTAs represent to top line gross revenue, which means that it's an uncontrolled entity. OTAs love that. They love the fact that you've just written them off as whatever they produce, whatever the bill they send, we must do it. And they have in the contract where they talk about, well, we vet our confirmation numbers against your actual confirmation numbers to make sure that we're not claiming business from a group block that they hired or brought through or something like this. And also without error, there's usually something of an error in those things. There's a lot of stuff that just gets lost and forgotten. And this goes through not including your communications with your accounting office and your contracts. They don't understand the contract conditions. And so what they're told is when you get an invoice from this vendor, pay it. Sometimes they'll delay payment or they'll lag on it or they'll try to stretch it depending upon allocations for the month and so forth and so on. But for the most part, accounting isn't into the role of questioning the validity of the invoice or even its amount at times, just the function of its facilitation. The person that was involved with the contracts should make it clear to accounting what the contract's terms are for and understand what should be looked at and what should be done to vet them correctly before payment is made. But that gets lost, and it gets lost in two ways. One is a lot of people don't understand the contracts that they sign. They just hit the dotted line and know that they have to have an existing relationship with Expedia or Hotels.com, and they might haggle over the percentage of the commission, which the OTAs, no. So they'll acquiesce a little bit, but they'll get it elsewhere, and these are the places they're getting it elsewhere. We'll talk more about some of that. And so what happens is there's that. The people don't understand what's in the terms of the contract. And the second of it is that the contracts may have been signed or negotiated at a level that they're not a participant of. So other than getting some conditions related to the contract that was negotiated for, they don't have the actual contract to know what the nuanced requirements are or limitations or exploitations are. And from that, they don't know what to enforce. So the OTAs get away with this. Now, the OTAs do a bait and switch on lots of things. Like they'll lower your persistent commission, perhaps, as something that you're, like, oh, I'm going to knock this down from 18% to 15%. And then they feel like they beat their chest if they got the OTA to do it. But what they had to do was sign off the fact that they have to offer 2 specials of a duration of 30 days or more that are exclusive to the platform, can't be offered elsewhere, at an incredibly low rate, and a higher commission for what's built through that promotion. Now, the property looks at it as like, well, that's a small price to pay because it's one promotion, limited time, limited value. I'll give them that because overall I'm saving all this other percentage on all the other business that I would be getting from them. What they don't tend to recognize is that exploitation is exploited by an OTA relationship where it gets super featured. So there's a high volume of sale to it. Usually comes with the no strings attached that any room available is qualified under its sellability at this rate. That last room sell availability is in it. Run of the house is available to it. And then it can be totally used for more than just a selected inventory, selected time, as it can be run. And OTAs will promote the heck out of it. And everybody's laughing and smiling, like, look at all the business we're getting and look at all this. And boy, this was such a great decision. It bled so much money in commission at such a low rate that if you took that dollar amount and compared it to what you supposedly thought you saved in percentage commissions for the year, it cost you. Have done that math, have made that example. And so the OTAs are smiling, thinking that you sure did knock us down. Woo, yeah, you're the man, you're the person. You did negotiate yourself in a great relation, and they're just smiling to the bank. The other is that in the contract itself, they pretty much have the latitude, if you don't look at it, don't break it down, and don't create conditions to it, to do more, whatever they want to do, than what you're aware of they're doing. I say that from the affiliate relations program. Anybody that's had to deal with this, revenue managers that have had to deal with this whack-a-mole of these, just where'd that name come from? Platform people that, rooms to stay at that you love.com kind of thing. Agora is like one of those. And what they do is, where'd they get that rate from? And the only way for you to find out where that rate came from is to go in and spend the money to stay at your own hotel, to go through the whole process to know where the confirmation comes from. Literally. And what you'll end up finding is a lot of them are affiliates of hotels.com or affiliates of expedia.com or others that you have negotiated rates with, the contracts I just talked about, that have the ability to sell their inventory to others through the affiliate program. And it's like a benefit on top of a benefit. The ability for the OTA to go over and reduce its rate of availability, take a lesser margin on what they can sell the rate that you've given them to for, is also transferred to the affiliate, who also has the flexibility of degrading their commission percentages to offer an even different rate to it, and then tack on other fees that aren't represented in the price that you see in the Metasearch results. So a user will go in and see official website, $200, hotels.com, $175, stay at my supercuteroom.com, $150. And the person's like, oh, I'll get that one. To them, they're agnostic as to where they're getting the room. They're just getting the rate value that they're looking for. And they click through it and they go through the whole process. And then all of a sudden there's this fee, that fee, this fee, this fee, and it goes tick, 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 all the way up. Either they buy it anyway, still thinking that the base fee was low enough that this is still a good price, not realizing that if they go to the official website, the price might be at or lower than what they just stacked on fees for this no-name third-party people. Okay, a lot of people don't go through the back out and go over to the other side, and they end up booking it through. Then you get these weird sources of business that you just simply see as ExpediaHotels.com, but it didn't come directly just on Expedia's site. It came from one of their affiliates, and these whack-a-mole rates are constantly popping up, and it creates parity issues, it creates sellable issues, and it creates conflict within the users to not know where they're buying it from for what caliber it is. And of course, how OTAs are treated as a sourcing to your hotel when it comes to what you can or cannot walk. A lot of contracts have included the fact you can't just push OTAs out as a walk if you oversell, and highlight your property's direct bookings for priority. These are all things part of the contract that often don't get looked at and reviewed. One other way to look at the contracts is the conditions that you're looking for. Strange to say, but I would actually take a point of annual commission higher and have the ability to have certain things inserted into the contract that I find to be incredibly valuable. One is penalization of discovery of affiliate abuse of rates. What do I mean? One of the things that is always a struggle is recourse. So say, for instance, you did this example in Chase Down, where this no-name third-party place ended up being able to sell a room to your hotel. You book it, you end up eating the cost to book it, to find out that it came from Expedia. Hey, Expedia, I found this third-party place using a rate I gave you for what you were using it for, maybe opaque, whatever, but they sold it at a rate that I couldn't pair against, and you went over and violated our contract. Oh, sorry, we didn't. There's no reason. We'll chastise and we'll whatever. They'll if they even answer your email. But there's no recourse. You can't stop them. They apologize and move on. If you can put into your contract a schedule of penalty that says if I catch you once, it's a 3-day suspension of inventory. You cannot sell our inventory for 3 days or 5 days or 7 days or whatever that you feel is relevant. Okay. Anywhere, GDS, anywhere. We will not honor any bookings from your sourcing for a period of time, X. Should we find you in violation 2 times within a certain time frame, usually annual is what I like to make it, then it goes to a month where you are suspended from selling our inventory. I also sometimes toss in the idea of a month of our choosing, which always hurts if you pick a high peak month that they can sell you easily on and you've omitted them from being able to sell your inventory. We will not acknowledge any inventory sales from you. We will send back cancellations. And the third is if you catch them 3 times in an annual period, there is an immediate suspension of the account for the remainder of that year and or duration of time. Done. The contract has been forfeited. Now, you may say, well, that's a bit of shooting yourself in the foot. It is. It can be. If you don't have a comparable Metasearch marketing strategy of your own to, one, compensate and also degrade the OTA's contribution to you, then you really don't have the backup capability of shutting off a channel that is producing for you. You need to have the ability to still do the business in the venue that they're doing it. Now, OTAs sell what they sell of us in lots of ways. Metasearch is just one of them. They're persistent, massive marketing budget dollars that are spent to make sure that they show up better than we do in the paid category of discovery of our hotel or discovery of our destination is in excess of anybody else in market. We know that. That's their main push. And why not? They have no brick and mortar overheads to it. They have just small, their infrastructure is relatively scaled compared to the volume of business that they do. So they can spend abhorrently large amounts of money. And we've all heard the stories of how much they spend and proportionally of everything towards marketing, which is going to create them as a dominant force. And then they continue to expand their content to create an authenticity to themselves. So they have a very strong, if not dominant, organic presence for not just our hotel, but for our market. And if you ever want to question that, go look and see how you rank compared to them. You'll find yourself oftentimes below them in the organic rankings simply because they're more an authority on your property than you are for your own property. So there is that reality as well. And the third is their presence in Metasearch, their ability to show up when people are looking specifically, okay, for you or that you qualify for based on a non-branded search query for accommodations in your market. And they show dominance there. And then they create an additional dominance by bleeding off the rates that they have available to other places that are willing to resell them as well so that they can beat you by numbers in that sense. This is the reality of the marketings of all this. So your contract is your only counterpoint other than your own Metasearch strategy to somehow mitigate and moderate OTA's influence on your business top line. It's kind of like going down the rapids of a river without in a canoe without a paddle. You're going to have to kind of do some serious body English to get yourself around the rocks. You can't direct it as much. You just really have to run with it, but mitigate it as best you can. Now, with Metasearch, going to the other 2 components of our conversation today, Metasearch is, people go over and say, oh, I'm doing Metasearch. You're probably going to entities that do what's called just a basic on. They create an account for you, so you have a paid aspect to the account. They still try to push a commission model, which is beyond me because Google dumped theirs, but it can be profitable out of ignorance of the client. Where they make sure that you're present with a nominal budget, and that's usually what's called a brand budget. It's basically, are they looking for your hotel by name? If so, the account is willing to pay a limited amount of money per click or a budget amount towards that exposure based on countries, based on devices, those kind of things. Okay. Google Hotel Ads have a lot of varieties to what you can do for them, as all the platforms, TripAdvisor, everybody else, to show up if they're looking for your hotel. It also allows you, by creating a Google Hotel Ad account, that there is a organic representation of you. Now, before, Google used to place your official site always available in the top 3, if not the top. They've stopped doing that. You can show up, and you do show up relatively often, but that there's no guarantee or consistency of percentage performance of where you will always be guaranteed to show up. You don't. You can show up. Not to say that Google doesn't do this, but maybe it does. I've noticed the more that we spend on budgets, the more consistent we show up in organic and the top reviews up on top of that. So take it for what it's worth. So you have this organic Metasearch value, which is, Google is saying, well, hey, this gives us an equal representation regardless of your spend. And then you have a spend component. The better you spend, the more presence you have, more top of the paid section. That's when I was describing the meta side, the right-hand column. It has your property. It has the paid first component that usually if you're paying, you show up in. Not all the time, like it paid performance in Google, it's not all the time. It's based on volume of audience, impressionable audience, okay? How many people would be looking or have been looking for your hotel branded? And that's a number. And then what your budget and your cost per click are determines how much of that audience you are exposed to percentage-wise. And it's a law of diminishing returns. The more you want to show up for the audience, the more it's going to keep costing you because it costs more to compete with other people that are also spending money to make sure that you show up more often percentage, for that whole audience than you do elsewhere. And that other people you're competing against are the OTAs and their affiliates. That's who's bidding against you in that world of showing up just for your brand name. Now, and that's a component of baseline Metasearch. And so limited budget, limited exposure. But you're all feeling good. And if you actually looked at your Metasearch contribution, you would see it's fractional. And it's like, that's okay. OTAs are making up the other, but we're not doing too much for OTAs. OTAs swallow it all up because they're spending vast amount of money to make sure that they always show up for your property, always show up at the top of the property, research results for everything, your paid campaigns and meta. And then they're optimizing their organic as well. So they're getting, we're like, wow, TripAdvisor really, let's see what they have to offer. The price is the same as what the hotel is offering. Plus, they don't have a membership program or something, which is what you already know from hotels.com, Expedia.com. They all have membership programs to create that guest engagement. We'll talk about lifetime value in a little bit as well. That value proposition of keeping them in the ecosystem of Expedia or hotels.com. The other aspect of Metasearch, which usually 99% of the time from all of these service providers that say, I'm doing Metasearch, is non-branded activity. They just don't do it because it requires work. There is no automation aspect to it. And it's not a set and forget mentality and bank the checks that they're charging you for doing it. This is where you have to go in and take all of the other terms and values that you might be good at and actually create campaigns that drive business because of it. The difference of what I'm talking about, a branded campaign, I'm looking for XYZ hotel, boom, SERP results. There's meta on the side of hopefully them and the other people, OTAs and affiliates trying to sell them. Here's my Google map. Same data. Here's my Q&A, Google Zero. Here's my paid sections. There's TripAdvisor and Expedia, and then you have organic somewhere below the fold that you have to go look for. Then the non-branded is hotel nearby, downtown hotel of, hotels in city X or hotels in country Y. And you actually have campaigns to make sure you show up for those. So they weren't looking for you by name, but you can show up because you are paying to make sure that, boom. And there's the same thing. How many people are looking for these things creates a number. How many people you show up for out of that number is your percentage of voice, your percentage of impressionable share. That's a number, a metric. And you can calculate how much it costs for you to continue in your percentage of audience, and it gets more expensive as you escalate. So here's some moving metrics when it comes to Metasearch. If you are a small hotel that's unknown or a new hotel in market that people don't know to search for, you can go over and turn on your Metasearch and you can have a 99% audience saturation. Out of 100% of the people that would be looking for your hotel, you've shown up for 99% of them. But that might be 10 people because there's so few looking for your brand. So these services that have you on Metasearch that are only doing brand, they're looking and saying, look, you got a 120 to 1 because it cost them $12 to go over and make sure you showed up in ads for the people that were looking for you. And 10 people clicked and one of them booked a good booking. So they paid $500 and it only cost you $12 to get that $500. You think everything's great. Problem is, if you put it towards your top line contribution, it's not even a percentage number that you can measure. You shouldn't hopefully be able to measure it because it'd be pretty small. Um, that's the problem. But nobody looks to even that next level. They just know that, hey, we're doing Metasearch. Hey, it's producing. Look, great ROI. The boss is going to be happy with me. We don't have to ask any more questions. All said and done. And it's set and forget. There's nobody running it on the other side. There's nobody running it on your side. It's just running. And nobody understands that it's not really doing its job. Better services will go over and do better at yielding your branded budget, because it'll get designated down to the device type. There's a lot of traffic that comes on mobile that doesn't convert because they'll discover it on mobile, but they'll convert on desktop. Knowing that cycle as to lead times of when they search versus when they book, duration of their bookings, the number of nights that they book are conditional upon the lead time or conditional on the day that they booked. What is your production on a Monday versus a Thursday? Should you increase budget on a Monday compared to a Thursday? These are all variations that exist in an actively managed campaign that you're probably not getting from boxy kind of services. And I'm not going to bash names, but there's a lot of them out there that just do the basic, turn it on. They're not doing any of this. There's also the expansion of your non-branded, which means that you're beginning to target the terms that you have a good chance of showing up well for, that you can generate great conversions. So you can invest better in your branding, so you get better conversion percentages. You can invest in your non-brand to actually to develop a market contribution that you didn't have before. And then you can even do more than that because of the tools in Google, specifically for the largest percentage of Metasearch that it can contribute to you, is that you can create custom audiences from your analytics tracking that has people, depending upon the conditions that you feel are valuable, you create an audience for, and you use those audiences as a means of amplifying better conversions or better exposure of people that have already engaged with you, because we're taking audience building from engagements to your website, people that may have discovered your website but didn't book, people that discovered your website and booked before. Those people, okay, are people that you can target with custom audiences in Metasearch. It's the same kind of ad functionality tools you see in Google Ads, but specific to the task of Metasearch. So those are all the things that aren't getting done. The value of doing them is this. One is channel shift. The more you can direct channel, the less you pay in commissions to OTA. There's no abandonment to OTA. I mean, I have some clients that do truly have OTA relationships in the single digits. And it's been an aggressive, persistent modality of trying to get them converted if they did book, and try to maintain direct channels that are fluent in all the channels that the OTAs are present in. And to make sure that we show better value than an OTA does for booking the same piece of business. So the channel shift value is profound, because whatever your percentage in commission that you pay is saved, and of course offset by what it costs you to replace it from your Metasearch campaign, which is direct channel, which is way more effectively costing. It goes through your direct channel conversion, and it does create the ability for lifetime value. What is lifetime value? If you're not familiar with the term, shame on you. Lifetime value is just not the single purchase that person may have made, but the potential of the future purchases that they could do, their increase in frequency of the purchases they could do, the increase of their spend of those purchases that they could do, and the other business they drive to you because of word of mouth or referrals or the influence or the authority that they represent to other people through the discovery of them to your product. All of those functions of lifetime value contribute to having them book directly with you. Why is that so different than an OTA? OTA keeps the clients or the guests' information. If you've ever handled this fingers on the keyboard, you know that the email or the correspondence capability of who you send out the confirmations to is jumbled into Expedia or hotel's platform code. It's not their direct email. Now they've acquiesced on something. Oh, well, you can reach out to the guest, whatever it is, in a limited, specific, through them way. Not worth it, and doesn't count for this when it comes to it. So then you have what's called conversion opportunity. When they come to the front desk, oh, Mr. Gray, I've seen that you booked with Expedia with us. We'd love for you to go over and book with us direct next time. We'll give you this value incentive should you sign up and you get your email for it. And for me, it's like, well, I can get something free right now. Sure. Yeah, here, take this email. And it's either a garbage email, or even if it's my real email, by the time I need to come back to the hotel, I probably have either blocked, unsubscribed, or forgot that I even did this with you. And now I'm just into the email spam of come stay with us again and get this benefit. Unless I had such an amazing experience, which I hope they did, they probably, or even if they know they're not coming back, but they got the goodie you gave them to be there the time that they were, there's a conversion value, but it's never 100%. It's some percent. So even then, you're not capturing all the conversions of the people that came through the OTAs. Now, again, you're not going to stop never having an OTA sell you something. Love to stop all the silly affiliates, but that's also a whack-a-mole that doesn't solve. Up to the wellspring of what you can influence all of that on is the contract. What are you saying is allowable? What are you saying is conditional? And what are you saying is unacceptable? And defining that is usable in your ongoing relationship with the OTA. I'm sorry, your affiliate undersold us with a product that was specific to you, and your affiliates are one thing, that's fine, but they did not have the authorization to do that. That is a penalty to you. This is the condition that you signed is the result of that penalty, suspension of inventory or whatever. Those are the things that have teeth. I'm sorry, I'm not going to sell more OTAs on my last 5 rooms because I didn't let last room sell as an option in my OTA contract. I'm sorry, I'm not going to put a double room rate into a suite because I have free sell of any last available inventory. This allows you to mitigate the relationship with the OTA. They're not going to like you. They're probably may even balk at whether they would sign with you, so forth. So contract negotiations are just that: what you give, what you get, all vary upon how much of importance you put to it. But it's critically important as to how you proceed in that relationship with the OTA, because then that gives you more control over your Metasearch capabilities. It gives you more control over your engagement with the OTAs and their affiliates. And it allows you to mitigate your cost of channel acquisition in a way that's beneficial. And it allows better value in your ability to direct communicate with your guests, the lifetime value component to it. Okay. One other thing I want to bring up is an issue that we're trying to find resolved, and it doesn't seem to be the solution, but that's what we told the solution was for from Google. So when you look now in Metasearch results and you pop it open, you'll see that when you go to Expedia.com or Hotels.com, there's a inventory image. So if it's a king bed, it shows the image of the room, or if with a king bed, and if it's a double, it shows a room, your official image of that inventory's product. But if you go to a hotel's version of it, where you pop it open, you'll see just blank icons where there was pictures in Expedia's representation of inventory pricing and availability. So we pursued that with Google, and Google said that that you have to connect your inventory specific to an image identified for that inventory in the information that you're providing them through the IBE, the Internet Booking Engine. We've looked at that and we are doing that. Now, so far, the successes that I've seen and my friend Dean, who works with me, seen is that Expedia and Hotels.com, they got it. There's an image. Branded hotels, Marriott, Hilton, not all, but almost all of them have an image. Independent hotels seem to be left with this icon thing. And we're pursuing down to make sure that we're finding out every requirement necessary for this image to land on it. I'll let you know in a future podcast as to whether we're successful with it, to correct for that so that we can have proper representation for independent hotels to have images of their product, their property's product, corresponding to the inventory type, just like all the big boys are, kind of thing. So that's the other issues. The rate parity concern about us showing inclusive rates versus an OTA being allowed and getting away with it because of the contractual relationship they have with the property of showing a different rate. That creates a rate parity issue that is not a parity issue that can be enforced. That's an issue with the contract stuff. And the other is of the image consistency of showing image for inventory type product. Those are two problems that you need to correct for and make sure they're taken care of as soon as possible. Like I said, we're still struggling with the image one on that. The last thing I want to talk about is Cody's article about what Google is testing with. So Metasearch is very valuable. I mean, any SERP page real estate is incredibly valuable. Where it's located makes a huge difference. And apparently they're testing, instead of having it down the right rail, like it has been done and is expanded as it is, showing the property and information and links to it and so forth, and then all the Metasearch opportunities of purchasing it. They're thinking about putting it, or have been testing it, putting it on the top, left to right, so that the very top of the page when it comes to that. Now, whether that is specific just to when you're looking for the property directly versus the non-branded searches, I believe that's where it affects it. Cody didn't refer to it in their article directly, but did show that the example that they gave was specific to looking for a particular property. Ironically, they were showing a branded property, which might be because of the relationship the brand has with Google that they might be early in on this beta opportunity. I haven't been able to replicate this. I'm trying it from looking for independent hotels by name directly in the same horizontal display. So I don't know how selective the beta rollout is at this point, but the impact value of it can be pretty profound because it dominates the visual space on a SERP result to being here's the hotel, everything you need, images, content relationship to the property, map segment if you want to see the location of it, and the meta search to the section of it as well to see its value proposition as well. So if that does happen, that changes the whole value proposition of why it's so critically important to be in control of your meta search information and marketing, because this will get exploited by OTAs even farther if they dominate that space. They will be able to dominate the meta search portion of that so well that you don't get good representation. It may show your hotel, it may show your location, it may show your images, but it's not giving you the ability to truly direct connect to you. And instead, they're giving all the other people that are paying the OTAs the opportunity to step in line in between you and the user and let them handle the booking for you at their percentage costs and not what you can control your direct cost for usage of it. So I think I covered what I wanted to cover today. As always, thank you for those that are watching us live on our TV channel, the Hospitality Channel, on your smart TV, your Google, Amazon, Apple, Roku, LG, Samsung, so forth and so on. Thank you so much for everyone that watches us simulcasted on our Facebook pages with our association of friends, as well as our corporate friends and professional friends that have the pleasure of giving us the opportunity to broadcast on their pages of their businesses and their associations globally. I also thank you for everyone that does that on their YouTube channels as well. LinkedIn, we're still in the single source, which is my profile, Lauren Gray. We are off of X. Eventually, we might get on a couple other platforms, thinking about going Thread kind of thing, but Facebook covers that pretty well. We don't do shorts anymore. We used to do shorts, but just business shorts didn't seem to really fit well for it. We are on Twitch. I went back into Twitch. It's really kind of fun, the people that watch us on Twitch, because Twitch is a medium for watching a whole variety of media, usually gaming and so forth. But people do use Twitch for actual exploit because it's a little bit more of a free reign in that space. But you can watch us on that. And what am I missing? YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, not Twitter anymore. Yeah, I think we got all of them. And of course, we do our podcast afterwards, audio podcast. We go dive into a little bit more of tools and functionalities and so forth. As I said, the TV channel is 209 countries. Our podcast is in 39 countries. We also have the hospitality radio station, which we recast our live show, as also a variety of other podcasts that are industry specific. If you are a hospitality marketing professional and you would like to join a peer level group for dialogue, have an open think tank, you can join us at hospitalitymarketing.club. So put your email into the box there. I'll send you a quiz to validate that you are an active hospitality marketer, and you'll join the club and you can start talking to peers about live center meetings. Our app, iOS and Google Play, is the Hospitality Channel. If you want to see our reruns of all of our shows by either date of broadcast as our host or topic, you can go to hospitalitychannel.tv. All of our podcasts are categorized the same way there as well. And I'm missing something. There was something I was going to simulcasting. 11:30 a.m. Sydney, Australian time for our APAC friends. 11:30 a.m. London time for our EU and Mideast friends. This show will get rebroadcast on, just in case you don't, because of variant time zones, which I'm always impressed of those that watch us live are from so many different time zones. But thank you for that. If you have any questions, concerns, feedbacks, you can reach me at lauren@hospitalitydigitalmarketing.com. And you can also reach me at hdm.news/talkback. That's an audio way of just clicking onto it and speaking your mind, or answer the question I throw up every week there. And tell me whether I can refer to you or permissions to talk about it or what have you, or raise it as a question or just get back to you about. So a couple of different ways to get a hold of me on that. So until next week, thank you so much for the privilege of your time. And we look forward to talking to you a week from now. Bye now.